Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give you the schedule first. Recitation of the Holy Quran. Welcome from Dr. Moman, Chairman Akbar Steering Committee. Akbar video presentations of NGO activities. Presentations by Commissioner Afghan Refugee Rustam Shah Moman. Presentation by Charles McFadden, Executive Director Akbar. Address by Honorable Chief Minister, NWFP Ahmad Aftab Khan Shepal. Question from invited audience and refreshment. Now I will request Qari Muhammad Abbas to come and have the recitations of the Holy Quran.
الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله ولتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد الله إن الله خبير بما تعملون ولا تكونوا كالذين نسوا الله فأنساهم أنفسهم أولئك هم الفاسقون لا يستوي أصحاب النار وأصحاب الجنة أصحاب الجنة هم الفائزون لو أنزلنا هذا القرآن على جبل لرأيته خاشعا متصدعا من خشية الله وتلك الأمثال نضربها للناس لعلهم يتفكرون هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو عالم الغيب والشهادة هو الرحمن الرحيم هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار المتكبر سبحان الله عما يشركون هو الله الخالق البارئ المصور له الأسماء الحسنى يسبح له ما في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم صدق الله العظيم.
I'll ask Mr. Rustam Shah Moman to brief us on some of the problems.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Mr. Chief Minister, Charles McFadden, Dr. Muhammad, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure that the audience here would like to hear the perspective of the Chief Minister on some vital issues, and I'm also sure that the Chief Minister would like to hear your perspective on issues that are of concern to you and your organization. So I'm not going to stand between you and the Honorable Chief Minister. Myself and Dr. Muhammad, I think, provide only a bridge. The two Muhammads are providing a bridge. But taking advantage of this opportunity and this forum, I might as well like to make a few observations. The presence and work of the NGOs in this province for the last 15 years, 14 or 15 years, has been a very splendid chapter for experts to have come from all over the world and to have shared their knowledge and experience and expertise with the local staff for the common good of humanity, poor people, has been a very heartwarming spectacle, a very heartwarming experience. I know that you faced formidable challenges here. The problems of having to endure long, hot summers, the problems of having to work in a different environment, unfamiliar surroundings, in different systems, often under very difficult conditions. But I must acknowledge that the expatriate officers rose to the occasion and they made a very lasting contribution to the alleviation of suffering and hardships of the refugees in this province in particular and in Pakistan generally. I must acknowledge the enormous personal sacrifices that you made in coming here and living under, as I said, very difficult conditions at times, and fulfilling the mandate that was entrusted to you. For me personally, it has been a very fulfilling, a very rewarding, and a very educative experience, having worked with such talented people and such people who are committed to a cause, who are dedicated to a cause. As I look back in time, many names of distinguished administrators and devoted servants of humanity come to mind, and many faces flash across my memory. I must pay tribute to them. They came here, they served selflessly, with devotion, and left often without being dined out or lunched out or without being given a formal farewell. They just disappeared. Having done their duty, they left. They left the scene for others. May they live long in happiness and spiritual and material prosperity. They have left indelible imprints on the lives of refugees here, on the organizations in which they were involved. It was a crisis-ridden period and time, very difficult juncture of history in the history of this country and in the history of the Afghan people. I must also thank the Chief Minister for taking this initiative of coming here and hearing your views on some of the problems that you are faced with. This was, let me reiterate, this was the Chief Minister's personal initiative, and he suggested that he would like to meet with the NGOs and discuss some of the problems that are common to you and common to us, that are common to us all. I'm not going to take any more time, because I'm sure you have other things to do, and the Chief Minister is also terribly preoccupied with his own functions and duties and responsibilities. But let me once again reiterate that we are determined to work hand in hand with you. The end of the road hasn't come. We would like you to stay with us as long as you are required by the suffering Afghan refugees, by the poor Afghan refugees. We know that there has been a terrible decline in the quantum of assistance that we receive now, and the refugees, and we deliver to the refugees. I think that underscores the importance, that also that shows that perhaps the role of the NGOs now has become more crucial, more vital, more important than ever before. So let's hope that those of you who are present here today would not abandon us. The chapter has not ended; it still goes on. Let us carry this journey through to the end, and let us hope for the day when all refugees would have been honorably, voluntarily repatriated with dignity and with honor. But until that time, I am sure that you would stay with us, and let us hope that this international cooperation gives rise to, generates and produces concepts like love, tolerance, pluralism, democracy, respect for humanity, respect for human values, respect for liberty. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to my rambling thoughts. I leave the stage now to...
Now there will be a short video presentations of NGO activities.
Afghanistan. 14 years of war against invaders have left the land desolate.
And work in peace, it is an act of belief in the future of all of us.
I want to ask Mr. Charles McFadden, Executive Director of ACBAR, to stand and have discuss some of the problem of NGOs.
Honourable Chief Minister Aftab Ahmed Khan Chappell, Dr. Moman, Chairman of ACBAR Steering Committee, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, may I say we especially thank the Chief Minister for his willingness to come today. Over the past few years, we, the NGO and donor communities, have tried hard to develop a close working relationship with the government, both at the federal and provincial levels. Our efforts have been aimed at helping the Afghan people and working together with the government. In that context, we would like to especially thank the Commissioner and others in the government who have always assisted us in the past. Firstly, and very importantly, we fully recognize the vast contribution made by Pakistan and the generous assistance given to the Afghan refugees at a time of serious need. Sadly, this need still exists, and we ask that Pakistan continues to cooperate and contribute fully with the aid process. Today, we are pleased to welcome the Honourable Chief Minister to a meeting with ACBAR, member agencies, other NGOs, representatives of the UN and aid donors. Our key message is that Afghanistan is a country in need of more and more assistance, that the NGO and donor community are here to undertake what they can, given the funds available, to alleviate the problems faced by the people both inside Afghanistan and those still living as refugees, and that we continue to request the Pakistan government's patience and assistance in facilitating these aid efforts. Afghanistan is one of the world's poorest countries, even without the continued civil unrest. A country with an infant mortality rate of 200 a maternal death rate of 100 per 10,000 people, a fertility rate of 8, an education of 27% and 4% for boys and girls respectively, desperately needs assistance. We fully recognize that after 16 years, the authorities would prefer to see an end to the situation. We accept that there are a magnitude of critical issues within Pakistan itself that are of major concern. The economy, the inflationary pressures, the Karachi crisis, and so on. Pakistan certainly has little time to concentrate on Afghanistan. However, Afghanistan needs Pakistan. With the assistance of the government, maybe we can achieve more inside Afghanistan to encourage the peace, the stability, and a better life for the Afghan people that we want. That is our aim, and that will ultimately benefit Pakistan. Also, Pakistan needs Afghanistan. Peace and stability there will lead to good business opportunities, less trade in drugs and guns, and a more harmonious peace in Pakistan itself. The government has publicly declared that all efforts should be made to rehabilitate and reconstruct Afghanistan so that refugees can go home. We declare that it is both necessary and critical to encourage rehabilitation and reconstruction, as well as developmental activities to promote the repatriation of refugees and a basic level of living for those Afghans inside the country. The NGO and donor community are here to do that, but we can only achieve what everyone wants if we are allowed to do it freely and without constraint. Whilst we have spoken openly to the authorities and not interfered in Pakistan, we have had some serious problems, even though we would say that 95 has been much better than 94. We find it hard to understand why there are such constraints to our activities when we hear the government's declared position. The problems we face anyhow in Afghanistan itself are hard enough. Maybe I could list some of the areas where we have some concerns. The failure of the government to freely issue permits for the transfer of commodities to Afghanistan. The problems with permits for vehicles to cross the border. The problems faced by expatriates and Afghans to obtain necessary permits and visas to enable them to cross the border points, and the ban on expatriates at certain specified crossing points. The main permit system now operates out of Islamabad. It is time-consuming and unnecessarily bureaucratic, whereas it used to work much better out of Peshawar. Freedom for NGOs to freely undertake their aid activities without any problems from the civil authorities. The issuing visas for expatriates to work in Pakistan. The bureaucracy that brings many systems to a halt. And we had in the past requested government to permit an air service to operate specifically for NGO personnel to Afghanistan. Much aid money has come into Pakistan. The NGOs, the donors, and the whole aid process have contributed much to Pakistan's economy. We provide employment. We pay rents to many landlords. We encourage higher industrial production. We have provided health and education services to many Pakistanis. We have, in reality, we believe, been a boon to the economy of Northwest Frontier Province. For the immediate future, the NGOs still need to remain in Pakistan. The situation, availability of services, etc., preclude a total removal of aid agencies to Afghanistan. If the situation improves to an acceptable level, we will leave, and no doubt many of the remaining refugees will also depart. However, before this happens, we need the further generous support from Pakistan. We need our activities to be facilitated in a reasonable fashion. We urgently need this cooperation. We have always offered to have dialogue with the authorities and discuss openly the problems faced to reach a fair consensus. That offer is always open. We have nothing to hide. We would like to feel that our opinions are worthy of consideration. We do know that decisions taken secretly by those who are not properly informed will adversely affect the good that has so far been achieved. We would be grateful, finally, if you would convey our request to the federal authorities to facilitate the NGOs and encourage greater and more open dialogue. I am confident that ultimately this will be to the benefit of Pakistan, and we hope to improving the basic living standards of the people of Afghanistan, both of which we are certain are also the hopes of the Pakistan authorities. We thank you very much for your continued interest. Thank you.
I will request the Honorable Chief Minister of NWFP, Aftab Ahmad Khan Shefao, to address the NGO community. Thank you.
Mr. Charles McFadden, Director Akbar, Dr. Hussein Mamand, Chairman Akbar Steering Committee, the Commissioner of Afghan Refugees, Mr. Ejaz Rahim, Chief Secretary Government of NWFP, ladies and gentlemen, I am extremely delighted to be here with you and to share some thoughts with you on the situation with regard to the living conditions of Afghan refugees and the prospects of their repatriation to Afghanistan. As a matter of fact, I've been looking forward to this occasion for meeting with you for quite some time. I therefore thank you for organizing this function and inviting me. I'm sure today's function would provide an opportunity for a very constructive and useful exchange of ideas and perceptions, which would go a long way in helping us understand and appreciate better some of the problems faced by the NGOs and the expatriate officers. The influx and settlement of Afghan refugees on our soil in the early 80s was a historic event which had its implications far beyond the confines of Pakistan and Afghanistan. The poor people of a backward country had risen in defiance against the imposition of an alien ideology. They waged an epic struggle, made heroic sacrifices in pursuit of a noble and lofty objective, the attainment of liberty and freedom and preservation of their faith and way of life. Happily for the Afghans, many countries and peoples of the free world responded positively and quickly to their call for assistance. Material and moral and political assistance was soon forthcoming from all directions. Although the Afghan nation lost hundreds of thousands of its men and women, hundreds of thousands became disabled, tens of thousands of villages and houses were demolished, and the whole economic structure was destroyed. In the end, they came out triumphant and victorious. As a consequence of this heroic struggle, the whole political landscape of the world was radically transformed. It was largely, if not entirely, due to the Afghan conflict and the gradual weakening of the institutions in the former Soviet Union that the ex-superpower was broken into several parts. The Berlin Wall collapsed. East European countries emerged as new democracies, and a new world order was created. Regrettably, however, the Afghans themselves were not so fortunate in reaping the harvest of their own sacrifices, because a gruesome, deadly war engulfed the whole country, a war that goes on unabated even to this day. It was as if once again the tribal structure of society which stood them in good during the struggle against communism came in the way of the objective of the achievement of political consensus and stability for that unfortunate country. Pakistan, as you are aware, mobilized its own and external resources for the upkeep of the very large influx of refugees. Our objective and perception was very clear. The settlement of Afghan refugees in Pakistan is a temporary phenomenon, and they would go back soon as conducive environment is created in their own country. As long as they are on our soil, we would do all that is possible within our resources to provide them with worthwhile opportunities so that they can live peacefully and rehabilitate themselves economically with assistance from Pakistan and from friendly countries and donors. Ladies and gentlemen, it was a daunting task. Not only was the burden too great in economic terms, but it could also overwhelm our physical and administrative resources and could have caused enormous social problems for this country and for the frontier province, which accommodated nearly 74% of the Afghan refugees. I must, however, confess that in looking after these vast multitudes of helpless, displaced victims of aggression and persecution, we received memorable support and assistance from many countries and peoples of the free world. The UN system made a tremendous contribution to this great and historic effort. I must pay tribute to the large number of officers deputed by the United Nations to implement the many projects which were designed and executed with foresight, wisdom and courage all over the refugee camps in this province and in the country. The role of the NGOs cannot be overemphasized. They came at a time when their help was most needed. They established their offices, hired and trained their staff, formulated and set up projects, and began to carry out these projects for the uplift of the refugees in such sectors as education, health, sanitation, vocational training, and irrigation. Soon, they were able to establish systems of monitoring and supervision of these projects, not only in this province, but also across in Afghanistan. The NGOs were able to bring in a large pool of talented officers, administrators, technicians, who in turn trained countless number of Pakistani and Afghan staff in large variety of skills, managerial techniques, preparation, and appraisal of projects. These expatriates, officers, both men and women, came from distant lands and climates and worked and functioned under very difficult conditions and made lasting contribution to the welfare of Afghan refugees in this area. I must pause and salute those brave men and women who performed their duties away from home with such courage, poise, and dignity without expecting or deserving any publicity or desiring any publicity or any acknowledgement or any recognition for their services. In the history of free Afghanistan, their services would always be remembered. History will also bear testimony to the fact that a crucial juncture, the institution of this country were able to deliver the goods and the refugees were settled, looked after, without any breakdown of the systems. That, in my view, is an abundant tribute to the durability and professional competence of our administrative resources and our civil services. We remain convinced that the only durable solution to the problem of Afghan refugees is their voluntary repatriation. We are all, however, aware of the disincentives and the constraints in the way of voluntary repatriation. It is our belief that large-scale repatriation would only take place if hostilities cease and political and economic stability returns to that country. And you must be aware that the Prime Minister's visit to Iran, to Tehran, and to the Central Asian republics was in this context, that she wants peace in Afghanistan, a lasting peace, and a peace which should come soon. Having said that, I am also of the view that if the NGOs could prioritize their projects and focus on short-term and long-term prioritized projects in areas of Afghanistan from where the bulk of the refugees have come, thereby some incentives will be created for the refugees to return. I am conscious of the fact that the reconstruction of Afghanistan is far beyond the ambit of the NGOs. For that, a massive global effort would be required. However, the NGOs can play a very crucial and useful role in creating basic minimum economic infrastructure which could activate and trigger some repatriation from this province. Now that the UN assistance has almost ceased as far as food deliveries and water supply systems are concerned, the incentives for the refugees to stay in this country has diminished. However, let me say it loud and clear that it is not our policy to push back the refugees by force. We believe that the refugees would certainly go back voluntarily as soon as conditions are ripe for their repatriation to their country. I would like to stress that the NGOs should now design and execute projects inside Afghanistan which could have a bearing on the prospects for repatriation. I have noted some of the problems presented in the address of welcome. My government will take up these with the concerned authorities of the federal government, and I have no doubt that these and other genuine problems would be resolved soon. The problems with regard to the movement of personnel, the movement of goods across the border, and the grant and renewal of visas and resident permits for expatriates, officers of NGOs will be taken care of in consultation with the relevant federal authorities at the highest level. I would remain in contact with the Director Akbar and the Commissioner of Afghan Refugees on resolving these problems in the coming few days. The United Nations, the NGOs, and the concerned authorities of the government of Pakistan have worked together as a team and as a team to provide and extend humanitarian assistance to the needy Afghan refugees for 15 long years. I hope and I wish that this team stay intact and united and continues to work with the same devotion and commitment till such time that all refugees have returned to Afghanistan with honor and dignity. Then, one of the most glorious chapters of international cooperation based on respect for human values and human dignity would have ended. I hope that such a day would come soon. Thank you.
Thank you, His Excellency. I will allow the floor, but for limited questions, the maximum 3 to 4. If you have, then please. Then we will have an informal meeting on the tea break. Yes.
بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. Ahmed Al-Sunusi, Director, Kuwait Red Crescent Society and member of the Islamic Coordination Council. First, I would like to thank His Excellency the Chief Minister for giving us this Brother Afghan Commissioner that we are here because we feel that this is our humanitarian wajib. Yes, cause, and also this is our religious cause, is to be here to help our Muslim brothers. And we assure him also we will be here as long as we are required. And as long as you are accepting us here. I'm not in need to repeat what Brother McFlynn say about the problems of the NGOs in general, which kindly His Excellency Chief Minister addressed and also give us a solution which we hope it will be materialized very soon. But for us, especially as Muslim NGOs and as a member, I'm talking about some members of Islamic Coordination Council, they have very special problems, which is a security problem, you can say. And His Excellency, I think he is in confidence that we have still some of our brothers who are members of, or who is workers of some NGOs, and one of them is the director of one NGO. They are still behind bars for the last 8 months. And although they have been tried and found innocent, but they are still behind bars. So we hope His Excellency will take this point and discuss with the Center Authority, just to release them. And this is what I want to say in this connection. And we assure His Excellency as well as Commissioner, we are here and we will do our best to help our Afghan refugees. Thanks.
I think we are very grateful to all the NGOs who have worked so hard for the last 15 years. And we appreciate what they have done for their Afghan brothers. And this was a humanitarian problem which we all faced. And naturally, all those who have come here, we want to look after them. And we don't want to create a situation where there's a situation is created between the NGOs and the government where a conflict arises. We don't want that sort of a situation. There may be some problems regarding some of the NGOs. This problem, we haven't created that problem. It would be best if they get in contact with their own embassies, and we will abide by what the embassy says, because it's the embassies who gives the visas, and it's the embassies who tells us that well, the visas have expired, and these people have to be they have to go back. So this is a problem which is there, and we don't want to create that sort of a problem. And where we can help, we will definitely help. But if it's the problem of the embassy or that country from where they belong to, that is then we are constrained to abide by the dictates or whatever the embassy tells us, we have to abide by that.
Dakar from Mr. Kurd, please.
Mr. Chief Minister, I'm Kurt Ulrik Larsen, Director of Dakar, a Danish NGO. We have a staff of only 7 expatriates, about 100 Pakistani and 4,000 Afghans, most of them working in Afghanistan. And we spend about $8 million each year to enable the Afghan refugees in Pakistan to go back and make a living in their own country. I want to thank you for your kind attention to our problems. And I also want to take this opportunity to thank Mr. Rastam Shah. As you know, it's not only the hot summers we have to endure out here. In our work, which certainly also benefits Pakistan, we frequently meet obstacles in our dealings with Pakistani authorities, especially in the lower ranks. I've heard from you, Mr. Chief Minister, that you are supporting us. I know the governor is supporting us. I know the Commission of Afghan Refugees and his people are supporting us. But there is a need for what I would call enlightenment in the lower ranks. We try to understand the rules of the game, but sometimes we think the rules are being changed all the time. And sometimes we even suspect that they don't know the rules. In other and more formal words, what I would appreciate was something that we have in some of the Western countries, a legislation regulating the activities of the NGOs, spelling out our obligations and our rights. And finally, a word about visas. We have some contradictions here. In Norway and Sweden, I know they easily get 1-year visas, multiple entry to Pakistan. In Copenhagen, in Denmark, the Pakistani embassy tells us they are only allowed to issue visitors visa for 3 months. Now we're only 7 expatriates, but we know every time we get a new one, and that's not every year, we face a problem because the local authorities in Islamabad, they say that our people came in under false pretenses as visitors, and we try to explain that that's the only way we can get into Pakistan. And we right now have a case like that where we face expulsion within 15 days of our new manager for Eastern Afghanistan, Dr. Asta, and her husband and 2 daughters. But I will take that up with the Commissioner later to ask for the support. If you wish me to elaborate on this, Mr. Chief Minister, I'll be at your service anytime. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, I'm not aware of your problems with the lower staff that you are facing. I'd be grateful if you can let the Commissioner of Afghan Refugees know, and we'll ensure that there is no problem in future. Your visa problem, we'll definitely take it up with the Foreign Office and the Interior Ministry, and hopefully we'll be able to give you some relief in that respect. Hopefully in that respect. And any other problem that you have, you can bring it to the notice of the Afghan Commissionerate, and he'll bring it to my notice, and we'll take it up at the highest level.
Steve Gray, please.
Thank you for this opportunity to speak. One of the things that Mr. McFadden mentioned was the desire to see flights specifically for the NGO community. The Red Cross has flights that they generously sometimes offer to NGOs to participate in, but and the UN also has flights, but they're on a priority basis, and UN personnel have priority over NGOs. We would like to request that you would look into the permissions that have already been requested from an NGO to operate flights for NGOs, and inform Charles McFadden or whoever to the possibility of flights. We know that there are security considerations, but we would just request again that this case would be opened up again and the services for NGOs, as you see there are many representatives, could again be considered cross-border activities. Thank you.
We've noted this problem. It was in the director's speech, and we'll take it up with the Interior and the ISI. Hopefully we'll be able to give you some relief there.
For Anna, please.
I'll try without the microphone. My name is Tor Arne Pøys. I'm director of Norwegian Church Aid, Norwegian Refugee Council, NCA, NRC, two Norwegian NGOs, humanitarian NGOs, that's been working here since 1979-1980. I was very encouraged by the Chief Minister's speech. Not only does it seem that we have the same goal, repatriation and rehabilitation, but also the concept of activities seems to be very much the same. I also want to underline some of the problems that you have heard from Director Charles McFadden and that yourself mentioned in your speech. And I do appreciate that that you are trying to solve these problems. But my question is there any more the NGO community can do to push on this process of solving these problems? Thank you.
As I mentioned in my speech also, and this was the main aim or objective of this meeting over here, what we felt was that if the activities inside Afghanistan, the NGO activities inside Afghanistan are increased, that would encourage the repatriation process, because we feel that there is a stalemate. I know the main problem is the war, the civil war in Afghanistan. Pakistan is trying its best to have a reconciliation between the warring parties. We may achieve that soon, or it may take long. It's been, you must have seen in the last 15 years, this conflict is on. You have been here. There have been so many changes in Pakistan, so many governments have come and so many governments have gone. I've come for the second time, the same problem is there. So at times one feels that they are about to reach a settlement, and then it doesn't happen. I remember when the Russians vacated Afghanistan, then there was an air of hope that everything would be all right in Afghanistan and we'll be able to take Kabul. It didn't happen for quite some time. And then when Najib was removed, again there was a euphoria that now we'll have a lasting peace in Afghanistan, but it still didn't happen. So this is the political side of it. But what we feel is that in those areas where there's calm and there's no war going on, if the NGO activities can be expedited in those areas, where you can provide the infrastructure so that these people can go. They just can't go there and go to areas where the land is barren, there's no infrastructure, there's no water, there are no schools, there are no medical facilities. I don't think they can stay there for long in these severe winters or even in the long hot summers. So this is what we are trying to do, and we will help you as much as possible in your work there, and whatever problems you face, definitely we'll try and channelize them, we'll try and remove them so that you can work there in peace, and this will be your biggest contribution. The biggest contribution would be for them, for the Afghan refugees to go back to their country. And I know
you have been through a very hard times, but hopefully in the end, the sense of achievement, the achievement of Afghan refugees going back to their country would be, there will be the satisfaction that we will all get out of this problem that has been there for the last 15 years.
I think for last questions, Linda, please.
Mr. Chief Minister, Linda Anderson, International Rescue Committee. We have been working in Pakistan with Afghan refugees since 1980. Let me reassure you, we have been doing, since 1992, we have been doing nothing but increasing our activities in Afghanistan. And precisely in those areas of activity, those regions from whence 85 or 90% of our refugees originate. So we began with refugee work here in the Hanmutal camps, in fact, but more and more we are doing more activities, agriculture, irrigation, and all that on the other side of the border, precisely to create an environment, an infrastructure hospitable to the Afghan refugees who wish to go home. So let me reassure you, we are doing that already. Both the Commissioner for Afghan Refugees, who's always been a great source of help to all of us NGOs here, and we thank him greatly for it, and yourself have mentioned the have paid salute, in fact, paid tribute to the expatriates who come from far away, who leave their homes and families and work in difficult circumstances with hot climate and so on. As a Canadian, I like your winter very much, but believe me, as far as headaches are concerned, these bureaucratic tangles, the visas, the endless waiting for visas, parole permits, all of these are infinitely harder to stand, as professionals that we are, than something small like climate or like distance from one's loved ones. If it would be possible for these problems to be resolved, and you yourself have been generous enough to suggest that perhaps they will be, I think, certainly on behalf of IRC, we will be delighted, and I know that everyone else would too. Thank you very much for your attention.
I think Mr. Dr. Essam Muddin from Israel.
Thank you very much. I would like to thank His Excellency the Chief Minister for giving us this valuable opportunity to sit with him from his very busy schedule. I am working for Islamic Relief Agency as Executive Director for Afghanistan program. We also have a Pakistan program operating in NWFP. Actually, we as NGOs, Islamic Relief Agency is a member of ACBAR as well as ICC, Islamic Coordination Council. We are working in close cooperation, and we are partners in humanitarian service and in human resource development. This is our mandate which brought us to stay here, and also would like to thank very much the government of Pakistan and the people of Pakistan, also the provincial government in NWFP and the people of NWFP for supporting us and giving us every opportunity to try to perform our job excellently. The only thing I would like to stress is that I want to suggest if a working team under the auspices of Commissioner of Afghan Refugees will be formed together with ACBAR, ICC and ANCB to have a continuous meeting cell to brief His Excellency about the daily needs, because the needs also are changing. Maybe the problem which we are facing today or this month, we are not facing it after 2 months. And the problem which we have faced 1 year back, we are not facing it now. So this is what I would like to suggest. And the most important part of it, we have also some obligation to our donors. We are receiving our projects and we are receiving the funds from the donors with a certain condition which we have to fulfill it. For example, sometimes we used to get the money to implement the project. After 1 year, due to some constraints, we are not blaming everybody. fulfilling the implementation of the project. For any reasons, for example, whether the expatriate is not possible to arrive, who is a consultant to do the program, or maybe the local staff cannot cross border, or maybe there is some security concerns. This is what I would like to stress. Again, I want to thank you on behalf of all the NGOs for this valuable opportunity. And we are here also to accept the rules and to obey them. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your suggestion. I think it's a very good idea if we can have a working committee with the NGOs and the Commissioner of Afghan Refugees, who can, any problems that crop up, they can discuss it, and whatever they can solve at their level, they'll do it, and the rest they can bring it to my notice. This was the main idea of having this meeting today. I wanted to have it earlier because I knew that the NGOs are facing problems. Naturally, in a situation like this, when you have a large influx of Afghan refugees, they have diminished, they have declined, but still we in this province, we still have about 1.2 million Afghan refugees and a number of NGOs. So naturally, such problems do arise. This is not a normal situation. This is a war-like situation. And you are facing problems, I know. We want to help you in that, and that is why this meeting has taken place. And naturally, hopefully, there will be positive results of this meeting. And I'm sure we'll be able to solve, if not all, most of your problems. But your suggestion as far as this working committee is concerned, we welcome that, and we'll definitely look into it.
I thank His Excellency Carly to join us in this meeting and inform us about their thoughts and the help that he wants to give us in the future. And we're very happy that still the government of Pakistan is backing up us, and we're very grateful to all the people who participate here. Now the discussion will be continued on the tea, and we hope that anybody who has questions can be asked in the tea break. Thank you.
Dr. Moman. Yes.